Hello, and welcome to the Vergecast. I'm Nilay, Patel. I just realized I have no idea what day it is or what time it is, but I know that it is either the first, second, or third day that we have been at CES.
We are now calling... Hello, I'm Dieter Bohn. In previous years, we called this the press day, the day when there are all the press conferences. We used to call it day zero.
That's correct.
But that's dumb. So
Well, because yesterday was day zero.
Yesterday was day -1.
Dan Seifert is here.
Yeah, this is Dan Seifert. I'm
and
also
Sean
here.
O'Kane is here.
I'm a fan of the negative number days as well.
Yeah, the negative number days. So here's let's start with some real inside baseball media shit.
Yeah.
Or let's start with the sound of a large forklift. So
If you haven't
It's
heard
early
of the
enough in
Vergecast,
CES that they're still building it.
We are
Put
a
it that way.
podcast.
it's early enough that I'm still.
we should introduce the
basically
Vergecast
so.
to all our brand new listeners who are following us because of CES.
That's true.
Yeah.
So hello, this is the Vergecast.
We're very professional.
It is the flagship podcast
Ooh.
of multi-channel media experience known as theverge.com.
Today we're broadcasting from Home Depot.
Yeah. No, but we are live at a large trade show called the Consumer Electronics Show, CES for short if you're in the know, or if you're an extremely pedantic employee of the Consumer Technology Association,
Yeah.
which recently renamed itself from the Consumer Electronics Association because electronics is a bad, shitty word, but technology probably means you're like a startup billionaire.
Yeah.
So
I see what they did there.
Pretty sure that's what that means. So anyway, we're at CES. It's the biggest trade show in tech. It happens for whatever insane reason the first week of January. So you go home, you see your family, you open presents. I don't know what you do. Whatever you do at the holidays. However, in whichever way you wish to celebrate.
Drink.
You drink, you relax, and then you get on a plane to Las Vegas for a week
Yep.
to be basically just overwhelmed by insane things, all of which light up and have LEDs. So if you're me, that fills you with rapturous joy. If you're the rest of the tech press, mostly you just complain on Twitter. But
Yeah.
I loved CES, and I have for years. And so this show, it's weird. It used to just be about like home theater stuff, and then now it's basically about like smartphone things that connect to your smartphone.
Yeah.
It's a giant smartphone accessory show.
Yeah, it's wild.
We have cars that are smartphones.
I mean, if I have to hear another
Volkswagen made a
major,
car that they called like the Volkswagen something Touch.
it's called the E-Touch.
The E-Touch. The E-Touch.
It's
Oh.
literally a
When did-
name that HTC rejected for a phone when HTC was still relevant.
Everybody else stopped putting E in front of things like 3 years ago.
Yeah, and
Now they're all at the end of it. It's something E.
the Moto G E-Touch. Are you bowling for beers? Bring them over here, Frank.
We need bottle openers.
Look, so here's what you need to know about the Vergecast during CS Week. We do it every single day of the show.
we are
Thank you,
strung
sir.
out.
Do you have an opener?
Hold on.
It's a real key
That's the
concern
table.
here.
Yeah.
I have one in my bag.
So we do it. We do
I
this
might
every
have
day of the show, and each day it gets progressively crazier and more tired.
Yeah.
So this
And we're
this
starting
day,
at a pretty high level of crazy and tired right now.
we are. It's been a long day. So the show floor at CES officially opens tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's when we can run inside and do all the stuff. But if you just think about logistically how a show like CES works, you can't let people run around booths full of new products unless you've announced those new products.
Right.
So the day before, everyone has all their big press conferences where they announce all the new stuff. And what's happened now at CES is there's so many companies that are here and so many new kinds of companies, not just Sony, Samsung, LG, but a million car companies are here as well.
Uh-huh.
Whatever. That there's now 2 days of pre-build-up before the show begins. So you have day -1, you have day 0,
But we
and you
are
have day
declaring
1.
this year that press day today is now day 1. That's how we did it
Oh,
on the
wow.
site, and this is what we mean.
Right.
So we have because they added an extra day on the front end.
You know, we're
We
pulling a real
refuse to call it
Sony press
-1.
conference vibe here where we've talked for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And now,
CES is also your
non-stop
nonstop destination for nominature discussions.
I have to tell you, look, if you have thoughts about what number the days should be, and I assume that Vergecast listeners are really into numbering days.
Yeah.
calendar buffs all.
We just spent like 2 weeks counting down. Most of us just spent 2 weeks counting the days to Christmas. I mean, this is like what you do in the winter when you can't go outside.
You wait for
you
something
count
to
days.
Sean has weird holiday traditions.
Yeah. No, don't you? Advent calendars.
Oh my God. Okay, so we're here at CES.
Yes.
It's been 2 days of stuff. This is our first day of the Vergecast. We're gonna have the Vergecast every day here. We're doing a Control-Alt-Delete from the stage. We are at the Verge Lounge at CES. It is not yet built. The show floor is not yet built. We're in early, so if you hear construction noises and
Don't let this fool you.
workers screaming in pain, it's because nothing is complete.
They are not added special effects.
We
That is
are,
actually happening.
just so you get a lay of the land, we're here in Central Hall. We are, I would say, a half kilometer away from Sony City, and just 2 clicks down from Samsung Town.
Yeah.
And
about 12.
Panasonic Stadium.
Yeah,
is
Panasonic
down
has named
over
its booth, literally
blocks
named its
away.
booth. It has a sign that says Panasonic Stadium. It's
About-
unclear what sports
hang
we
on.
played there.
Inside Panasonic Stadium is the 4K bullpen.
Yeah. Oh, and then just
So it's
next
not like
door
the
to
real
it,
4K TVs. It's the backup 4K TVs.
let me give you a sense of how fucking crazy this place is. Panasonic built a house. It's in its booth.
Yeah.
Like they're like, we make a
love
lot of
that.
smart house stuff. What if
So
instead of
let's
just
build
connecting it to each other and show you how it works, we showed you what it looked like inside of an actual house, and then they built like a very nice sort of Midwestern
house.
house.
Yeah.
Anyway,
inside the stadium.
Inside there's
Well,
like a
it's-
rhyme or riddle.
you know,
here,
actually,
right?
what's funny is the house is really expensive because you can see right into Panasonic's from the roof. It's like Wrigley Field. Okay, so let's start. Can I just tell you, we all went to press conferences today.
Yeah.
This is why I'm making this joke about Sony, and we'll get really deep into Sony in a minute. Sony had so little to announce at CES that Kaz Hirai, the CEO, literally came on stage in front of 1,000 people or whatever, and a live stream and like all this hype, and he was like, we could talk about new products.
Uh-oh.
Why don't we first talk about CES? CES is kind of amazing, right? There's like all these people here, so many people. You put up a chart of like how many people attend CES. He's like, you know what really got me? Is they serve 600,000 pounds of food at CES, and they like put up like 600,000 like in like little like icons, like a infographic. He's like, that was enough to feed like 1 million bears, and then like it was just like, what? Are you announcing CES? Sony, is your product CES itself? And then they just literally pattered for 25 minutes before announcing a single sad 4K camcorder.
I mean, I guess I'd want to lead with the meta discussion before a 4K camcorder.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's sad though, isn't it? I mean, they were like the craziest and wildest press conference. They were one of the biggest of the last.
right. So my theory
couple
is that
years.
the first Samsung was Sony, and then Samsung was Samsung, and now Huawei is Samsung. Think about it. Anyway,
We'll come back to that.
Intel tried to be Samsung.
Yeah,
but it
Intel
turns
got a
out
little Samsung.
They're still Intel.
Anyway, so we got to
Intel's
start.
full Intel.
Sean, you're here. We should start with yesterday. The biggest news yesterday, I think. Yesterday was a lot of like little gadget stuff.
Yeah.
It was like a lot of USB Type-C accessories. We can talk about that. But the biggest, like the big hype-ridden, must-attend journalists flying in just for this one event
Yeah.
was a car company
Yeah.
called Faraday Future.
Yeah.
We did a profile on them that was like it was like lengthy. Tamara Warren did it. It was great.
Mhm.
They're a new car company. They're building up to something big at CES, and they talked to all the people. And then they had their event. Do you want to take us through that event?
I mean, if you're familiar with car events, especially over the last couple of years, it actually felt a lot, and I think this was purposeful, like a Tesla event.
Yeah.
It had that like plain white stage, but it had the sort of, it was built like Musk usually builds his announcement stages. Not like, you look at some like, we're going to be at the National Auto Show next week in Detroit, and you look at some of the like the LA Auto Show, like car announcements usually have like a much more grandiose look to it. This was this was a white stage with some sort of car under a curtain.
Yeah.
And we had to listen to a lot of people talk.
Yeah. And so
4
they're
different
like
people talk.
SVPs, Nick Sampson,
Yeah.
who's like a well-spoken British man.
Yeah.
And so the combination of like the extreme tech staging and the
Yeah.
accent made it seem like a parody of, like before Prometheus came out, they did the fake TED Talk.
Yeah.
Like
It
explicitly.
had that vibe, which is why
Yeah.
it felt so much like a Tesla
Also-
thing, because it was like if you closed your eyes and like you could think that like Elon Musk was up there.
Because they paraded out like 3 or 4 executives before they like got into the meat and potatoes of the event. They were comparing themselves to other car companies, and at the end they compared. Well, I won't spell that. And we heard that people pronounce Jaguar probably
Like
700
Jaguar.
ways. Yeah.
Jaguar.
I'm calling it Jaguar for the rest of my
Jaguar.
life.
No, so that was great because a bunch of them worked there. So
Yeah.
what they announced, they get on stage and they're like, "We're a new company. We're so happy to be here." The student Nick Sampson's like, "We have worked at every company in the world, and we can do it to best." It's just like insane. I mean, he literally sounded like an evil dictator for a while. And then what they basically announced was, it's been 18 months since we started. In that time, we've hired 750 people.
Yeah,
We're
which is
basically-
up. Like even from when we profiled them in the fall, it was like 500.
So-
I mean, they're moving.
How are they doing that is an open question.
Yeah.
They have secured a huge investment from a Chinese company whose name eludes me.
LETV.
LETV.
I knew it was LTE something.
Yeah.
LETV,
The self-described Netflix of China.
right, which is an entertainment company,
Yeah.
which is
Yep.
very interesting. They said this is not about buying cars; it's about new ways of doing cars. They had like the governor of Nevada on stage.
Yeah.
Because they're opening up a big ass factory in Nevada.
They're spending $1 billion to build a factory to build their. So, well, actually, let's back up real quick. So, we've known about this company for a while. We know that they want to make some sort of electric car that probably has some sort of or a big level of autonomy.
Yeah.
Also, will probably be some sort of subscription-based ride-sharing service. That's like a little more vague. Like we know they want to build an electric car, probably a bunch of different kinds of electric cars. And then, so they've been based in California while they've been teasing out this information over the last 2 years. And recently, they announced that they were going to go sort of the test, build their own cars with $1 billion investment in a factory in Nevada, because Nevada is doing a really good job of attracting lots of, especially electric car companies, but lots of new tech companies. And yeah, their governor, I mean, I was at the Daimler Freightliner, created a self-driving truck and showed that off in Nevada last year because they have looser restrictions on autonomous driving.
Right.
And he was there. He was like one of the first ones riding in the truck with like the crazy German head of Daimler Freightliner. It was like the most amazing, like they honked the horn on the drive out of the tent.
We're Sony again. What did they announce?
And so they've spent all this time teasing this stuff and like leaking out these little bits of information, but like kicking the can on that actual announcement of like what the car is going to be. And in the meantime, we found out before the press conference, but officially at the press conference, that they've spent a lot of the last 18 months like sort of, we're building this electric car and this whole big service, but we also made this prototype, which they unveiled on stage last night. And admittedly is a really cool looking car. And we can talk about it.
It looks like a Hot Wheels.
It's a concept car.
Literally
so
looks like a Hot Wheels I would have had when I was like 8 years old and run on that orange track in my bedroom. Like not the Hot Wheels that are like a Corvette or a Mustang. It's like when like Mattel has its own like crazy designs and they put these giant fins on things.
Well, no, so what that was like they fucked it up, right?
Yeah. Because that's what everybody's talking about. That's not what they announced.
That's not what they announced. What they announced was, hey, our company is huge. We hired all these people from Apple and Tesla and every major car maker. We have this huge investment from like an entertainment company, which is interesting if you think about the autonomous car part of it.
Yeah.
They're basically like movie theaters on wheels, right? Like that's weird. And what they actually announced, like the thing that is real, was something that they're calling with the vehicle platform architecture,
right?
Or the variable platform architecture.
Right.
That's what the VPA, which is
not necessarily a new idea.
No, it's a totally old idea, but it's the core platform for a series of vehicles that is modular. So the wheelbase can get longer and shorter. You can add batteries to it. You can power 2 wheels or 3 wheels or 4. Like
the added benefit for them for sure is the idea that like you would imagine it requires less engineering changing from one model to another because of the way electric cars or this electric car and Tesla and probably most electric cars going forward are going to be built is this like bed of electric batteries that are laid out in a grid because we don't have the technology to build like one big battery that lasts a long time yet for lithium ion. So you lay them out, you thousands of them or hundreds of them, but most likely thousands of them in the base of the car. And that it looks like it lends itself nicely to making modular cars because it works really well on a graphic. But yeah, that was the most we learned about what they're actually doing.
Right. I mean, that was like the thing that they do. But then they're like, so we can scale this platform any way we want, and they like They had a video where they were showing like wireframes over the platform, and like the wireframe was very boring. It was like a hatchback, a sedan, an SUV.
Crossover.
And they're like, and it can scale all the way up to this stupid car, right? And it like looks like the Batmobile is in Tron, basically.
Yeah.
I like our transportation reporter Jordan Golson, I think, said it best. It looks like a 60s Batmobile made for like the 21st century.
Right. I mean, it looks insane. It has one seat. It's like bonkers.
It has one seat. It has oxygen and water pumped like right to your mouth.
Right.
There's like a head and neck restraint like you get in fancy race cars.
There's also no indication that it moves.
There's also no indication of how you get in it.
Like it's clear. Like
I think you have to be born from like the cybernetic.
Look, he hired
underneath.
750 people. Like make a couple clay models. Like like, we got nothing to do. Like make a Batmobile. Anyway, so that totally distracted from their event.
Yeah.
So they put it out, and like my entire Twitter timeline was just like jaded tech people being like, "This won't disrupt Tesla," and it's like that thing is not supposed to.
No.
This like big factory and this architecture is supposed to.
Yeah, that's really weird. It just shows that like people haven't really paid enough attention to, and I mean maybe rightfully so, because it's easy to be like, who are these guys coming out of nowhere doing whatever they're doing, but like to think that that was going to be the thing that they're actually going to compete with like the Model X or the Model S or anything that Tesla's going to make like is just not, that's not what's happening.
Yeah, so Chris Sigler and I were talking yesterday, and it's like what they should have done was been like, we have a plan using this platform to make a hatchback, and you don't have to show it. Be like, here's our planned model lineup. Like, here's, you can start here and you can scale it to here, and like we're going to make a little hatchback and a little sedan and a little blah blah blah, and then here's this, and if you turn up the crazy dial, like we can also use this platform to make this race car.
Yeah.
But I think what precludes them from doing that is this autonomous car sharing entertainment thing.
Right.
Because
go ahead.
Well, it just seems like what they want to do is build movie theaters on wheels.
Yeah.
Where you get in the car, you like call up a car and you like sit down in it, and like, I don't know, LETV plays at you.
And like there's some sort of entertainment deal that's like maybe subsidize the ride, or you know there's some sort of, maybe you want to get in the ABC car.
Well, the other problem
CBS
is
car.
once you say we're definitely making a hatchback.
If the future of transportation is like major American television networks, and you have to request the
Big Bang Theory car. Mom, I want a limo to go to the prom. You're getting the Big Bang Theory car because that's all I can afford.
You have to take the Bazinga.
The Bazinga.
It's awful.
Yeah, that's really bad.
It's terrible. The Dancing with the Stars car.
But once they say we're making a hatchback, now we could make a hatchback. We are going to make a hatchback. Then all anybody's going to be saying is, "When's the hatchback coming? You're late. Where's the hatchback?"
Well, this is the timeline.
I mean, this is the problem.
They already gave a timeline, so we're gonna have a car out in a couple of years. That's what they said.
I mean, this is the problem with hype. I mean, this is them. They played this game for as long as they could, which was over the last 18 months, you know, being really coy about what they're going to... I mean, they knew what they were doing with this entire process as far up to, like, this week, where it was like, we're going to give an interview finally with some of our lead designers in our factory, and we're going to do it in front of...
By the way, there's just people carrying huge ladders just walking all around you.
We're going to do it in front of this, like, car under a tarp, and we're going to, like, make a mention of it, but we're not going to... And it's like, is that our car? And it's... I mean, they've been very careful about, like, how they've done this.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, so that was, like, the big one.
This is
and
the
then
hype catching up to them.
And then what happened... This thing about entertainment cars is super interesting to me, because the same day, what was it, Volvo showed off, like, a rotating dashboard that was just a huge screen.
Yeah.
So you could, like...
Yeah. Basically the glove compartment on the passenger side.
What was that thing called? Was it called the knee anvil? Right?
Nice.
Well, it's unclear whether they think that you're going to have a passenger in that seat.
Oh.
So you're the driver of an autonomous car, and then you push the button, and the thing flips up, and like the steering wheel like recedes, and you like lean back, like watch this huge screen.
Right.
But so that thing, Jordan and Chris were telling me, is like been around. This idea that you're gonna flip up this huge screen. It looks super fucking awesome sci-fi. Like when you're a little kid and you're like in a car and you have no idea how anything works and like how space works, and you're like, I wish I could push a button and the whole dashboard would flip up and the hood would fly away. Like
that's why when they showed off the first version of this in the fall, Jordan, like one of the first videos he did for us was sitting in that first version of like where the seat moves and like the dash moves and all this stuff. But like that, I mean, what we saw yesterday was like this cool animation of like the interior of a full car, whereas like what he got to try out was just the skeleton of like inside, where it was just the seat, just the dash, and nothing else. So like, you're right.
What was cool about this? So the folding whatever is like awesome. Like I literally just watched that GIF for like an hour. What was interesting about it is what Volvo was actually announcing was a streaming video service that intelligently connects the predicted length of your commute when you enter your destination, and then picks shows for you, like assembles content for you that fills that amount of time, which is wild.
Yeah.
Which is like airlines don't even do that as good as they're trying to do this in a car.
Well, airlines are like, would you like to watch this popular movie that we've ruined in very specific ways? Lauren Grush on the way here tweeted she was watching The Martian.
Oh yes.
And she was like, his line goes from like we're gonna have to science the shit out of it to like we're gonna have to science the spit
out of it.
Yeah. It would have been better if it was ship.
Sorry.
Anyway,
I mean,
that movie is amazing, by the way. Can we just talk about The Martian for the rest of the show?
Lauren Good, don't go away. She can't hear me.
Just yell at her.
Lauren Good, don't go away.
We're gonna get done talking about cars, and Sean's gonna exit. She can't hear me at all, can she?
No, yeah.
She'll be
able
our
to
listeners
listen
can,
to it.
and it is really compelling radio.
Yeah.
What else happened with cars? A bunch of stuff.
And then the last big car thing, I think, was CarPlay. So Fiat Chrysler said it's going to be in Chrysler's Jeeps, whatever. Ford backed all the way down. They're going to do it. And then Toyota was like, you know what? We're going to license all the Ford stuff, but we're not going to do the CarPlay and Android Auto piece. And my theory is that will eventually impact Toyota sales. Like, I think so.
Yeah.
Our listeners may not know this. Toyota like proudly announced today, whatever day Toyota did stuff. In CES, don't worry about it. Just let it blur into a mix. That car sales are higher this year than they have been in forever. Like record-breaking car sales this year. So like there's this industry narrative that the car industry is about to explode because Tesla is going to disrupt it and Uber is going to disrupt it. Meantime, people are buying the shit out of cars.
Yeah.
And I think if you're out there trying to buy a car, you are an idiot if you're not buying a CarPlay and Android Auto car.
Yeah, I mean, well, you've had a lot of experience with them too, and it's like we've all had experience with bad infotainment systems, so we know that something better needs to be on the horizon.
CarPlay and Android Auto are, they're desirable, but they're still like far from being good.
What about a roll of duct tape and an iPad?
That might be a better experience. Let me tell you this. There's a long-running joke that, someday, Microsoft is going to put Windows in your car, and then your car is going to blue screen. Right. Well, Android Auto needs to be rebooted, and sometimes it needs to be rebooted when you're doing 70 miles an hour down the road. And
you don't mean like conceptually rebooted? You mean actually?
Actually,
I thought you'd just been saving up that burn for like weeks.
No, you actually need to unplug your phone, restart your phone because the thing won't accept a voice command.
Yeah,
like this is where we're at, and CarPlay's not much better if it's better at all. So like, to base your entire, maybe it might be a $25,000 purchase decision on Android Auto and CarPlay. I don't think a lot of people are going to get there for quite a while, but there will be a point where you are going to want those, and they are going to be a must-have feature. And I do think down the road, Toyotas might see the folly of its ways.
No, I mean there was this report from GM dealers like in late December that was like people are coming into our dealerships and asking for these cars.
Yeah.
And GM dealers are now ordering. When they place their wholesale orders, they're no longer ordering GPS units in the cars. They're just ordering the Android Auto and CarPlay.
I went to the Ford press conference this morning at like 6:30. It's really early, and they did a bunch of things. It talks to Amazon Echo now. And they announced a bunch of other stuff, but they said that like Ford Sync, like something like 80+% of their customers said that Ford Sync factored into their purchase decision.
Yeah,
and so like they care,
which is crazy because like Ford Sync was not good.
No,
right? It was garbage.
Like there's a new version of it.
One of the better ones.
The crazy thing with the Ford thing
Ford Sync is just GPS. Like they're just saying like having a map in my car.
No, it's an app platform. It does all this stuff.
But when you collapse it to what the consumer wants, they want the nicer stereo with GPS.
Right.
And something that connects your phone fast. That's one
yeah,
problem.
the advantage is obviously you get to play the media that's on your phone. You use the apps like Spotify that's on your phone. You have your contacts on your phone, and you're so used to using Google Maps for everything. Anyways, you can now have Google Maps in your dashboard.
Do you remember people used to put like Mac Minis?
Yeah,
in cars.
There's like the whole hobbyist
days.
thing of like putting an iPad Mini in the dash or a Nexus 7 like in the dash.
Or a giant 17-inch tablet like in a Tesla.
The crazy thing about the Ford event and like a lot of the car stuff that I heard is like, oh man, traditional car makers are super defensive. Ford spent like 20 minutes being like, yo, we make our self-driving cars, we make autonomous cars, we've been working on this shit, we've been around forever, guys, and you know what? We're going to partner with another company to do ride sharing or something like that. We're really into it. It's going to be a big, important company. It's going to be really awesome, and we'll tell you later.
Yeah.
That was literally how they ended their press conference.
Well,
but,
I mean, they do have the
super
advantage.
defensive.
They do have the advantage of, I mean, tech companies, I guess, have this too, but like they can spread this out. I mean, they have Detroit Auto Show next week. They have. They don't need to rush. They've done all these big traditional car makers have done like the first step in saving face, which is like getting themselves out there and like admitting that they're behind the curve, and like apparently that's not affecting sales because like they're able to right the ship in some way. So like now they're just trying to like let's make progress without making too much progress, but like we need to catch up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The fourth thing was we have 1 foot in today and 1 foot in the future. That's their thing.
Anyways, I really want a Focus RS.
That's a
really
line
badly.
I didn't expect in 2016.
So I will buy a Ford if it has sync.
I mean, we're sponsored by Ford, man. I get it.
I just really want that Ford. I've got a garage to park.
Who doesn't love a Mustang? America's car.
What was weird to me was like I was sitting there watching that Faraday
Camaro,
that Faraday event last night, and I don't know, to me it was fun because like I guess I understood what was going on, and. So like it was fine to me. Like I love concept cars, and it gives you a lot of things to think about. It gives a company a lot of things to think about. It may not ever really matter too much, but like it does in some ways. And like they have the reason that exists is because they have talent behind it. They like Tesla, like Apple, like Google, any company that's involved in electric cars or in self driving cars right now is just like working out of this like increasing pool of talent where they're just stealing it off of everybody else. And so like it's a sign of like what they've got and like what they're growing. And so I was really excited to see that, even though we don't really know what Faraday Future is going to be. And
it's like what right next to it is like the same day GM invested $500 million in Lyft to build self-driving cars.
Right.
Which is the same idea.
Yeah.
What they need to do is get Netflix on board.
Yeah.
And be like, instead of cloning Uber.
Get the Netflix of Netflix.
It's funny because like I've spent the last couple years thinking about how
it's a streaming service that just streams other streaming service subscriptions to you.
I spent the last couple years thinking about
that
how
makes no fucking sense. Just put that out there.
How like Elon Musk's whole thing with Tesla, if you buy into like his take on Tesla, is that like he doesn't necessarily want it to be the car that everybody owns, which is why he's okay backing down the estimates of how much they're going to sell every year.
Yeah.
His thing is like he wants to disrupt the industry. He wants to make the car that makes everybody else think, oh shit, we need to make that car, we need to make something electric. So I've been enjoying watching that ripple spread through this industry. And so if it does really get boiled down to like the Netflix car or the CBS car and these entertainment companies end up mixing into
that is the worst possible future.
That's dark.
Like, can you imagine, like, I don't even know.
We're not even at CES day one and it's dark.
Like a VH1 car.
Like just cables. Monster cables to get involved in cars.
Monster cables?
Yeah, like what's the most evil company at CES? What's the most evil company at CES?
Oh God! How much time?
We got to talk about a bunch of other companies.
Yeah,
we got.
And that was the other really quick thing that I'll say about Faraday Future was like I sat there last night and I was like, wow, we've been right for a couple years. This is a car show.
Yeah.
And then today happened.
It's a car show.
But then today happened and I was like, oh wow, we had a lot of like old tech stuff going on. Like I was sitting at a.
There's so many cars today.
There are
Volkswagen, Ford.
But we
today.
Yeah.
Toyota.
Volkswagen's is really exciting too. We haven't even talked about that. But like I don't know. I felt like most of the day I was like, oh man, we've got some consumer tech here.
Yeah.
We've got cameras. We've got action cameras. We've got
gadgets are back, man.
Gadgets are back. It's gadgets and
Revenge
cars.
of the Gadgets.
Revenge of the Gadgets.
The Gadgets Awaken.
Gadgets Awaken. Brought to you by Disney and ABC Car.
You know what's great is when you watch a Disney movie in a Mustang. Think about it.
God.
That's your ad read in 3 years. You realize that, right?
When I'm driving my robot Mustang, I like to settle in with a great Wreck-It Ralph session. I don't know what that means. Hey, Lauren Good. Lauren, do you want to come on the podcast? Lauren Good is here. Dan just took off, peaced out.
Hey, everybody, I'm Dan Seifert.
Yeah, just do that. That's all Dan does. He just announces his name dryly over and over again. But
and then
Lauren
leaves.
So I don't know if everybody knows. My role at CES is like largely like I'm a dancer.
Ceremonial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I walk into things. I walk into rooms.
Meetings.
I do. I go to meetings. My favorite fucking thing. But Lauren and Dieter and Sean have just been running around looking at stuff for 2 days. So what have you been seeing so far?
First off, let me just say I love how you say that. As though one of those roles is like way more desirable than the other. Like you say, like running around and looking at stuff. Like you would rather be doing that more than anything in the world.
That is all I want to do. I love learning and looking at stuff.
And I'm thinking, oh, I would like to go to your dinners that you're going to. That sounds pretty amazing.
I mean,
but in either case,
I eat delicious food. I drink fine wine.
Hang out with CEOs.
You actually had dinner.
Yeah,
you're wearing a very nice suit.
Yeah, because you got to look good for these these masters of the universe.
You're really not making a case for yourself right now in this argument.
I know.
Yeah.
I've been carrying around a backpack and dressing like, I don't know, I'm going into some type of military mission or something.
Yeah.
So for my first years at CES, I definitely wore like a tech vest with like hundreds of pockets, full of SD cards and like USB cables.
Yeah, I got like
that's me.
I basically look like a remote charging station.
Oh man, Lauren just pulled out all kinds of crap out of her pockets.
Just pulling gadget after gadget out of her pockets. All right, so whatever. I think that the running around looking at stuff, that's what the people want to hear about.
The people,
the tens of thousands of Vergecast devotees who are willing to suffer through how tired we are to listen to the show. But no, there's like a bunch of stuff, and we had a bunch of press conferences today. So yesterday you saw a bunch of new wearable stuff.
Yeah, I'm on the wearables beat this year. I started out this morning by going straight to the Fitbit press conference first thing in the morning.
The Fitbit blew up this. Everybody wanted to look at the Fitbit.
Yeah,
what did they do? I
Fitbit's
totally missed this.
Why?
Oh, yeah.
I was too.
That's okay. You were running around looking at things.
Right.
Exactly.
Why is the Fitbit so good?
Fitbit is I don't think Fitbit's getting quite enough credit for the kind of year they had in 2015. 2015 was a major year for Fitbit. The company went public. That was a big deal. As part of going public means they now have quarterly earnings reports, and in those quarterly earnings reports, we were finding out some really interesting stuff about the company. Like they make money and they sell millions of devices and stuff like that. And they also just have
things the companies
just little things like startups in San Francisco don't always do or have, and they have this amazing brand recognition. They really are the Kleenex of the fitness tracking, of the fitness tracking world. And so they've got all that going for them, and everyone's been waiting to see what is the next Fitbit going to be, because last time they came out with something new was early last year around this time. And so it's the Blaze. It's like this new fitness smartwatch that's not a smartwatch because it doesn't run third-party apps, but it has a display for the first time, a color display.
Third-party apps?
It does not. No, I mean the Surge is the mother of all Fitbits, as I like to call it.
Right.
It's a GPS-equipped fitness watch. It has long battery life. It has a display. It tracks a bunch of different activities, and it will show. Fitbit does show you smart notifications from the phone.
Oh no!
So you can pair it. Oh, I can't wait to review this Intel wearable. I'm gonna put this one on right with my other ones.
Oh my god! How many are you wearing right now?
I'm wearing.
I will say we were at. Wait, is that so? What's the one on your wrist?
Lauren, I don't know if Lauren's
talk
going to
about
come
that
back
one yet?
from her first CES Verge experience.
This is actually my 7th, but it is my first with the Verge, and it's a totally different CES. But so this is the Pebble Time round.
Right.
It's dead. This is the new Under Armour band, one of the other new
so you can't talk about
trackers
that one yet.
we've seen. We can now. The embargo.
We were at a wearables briefing yesterday.
And I was wearing
she got lots of attention, obviously, from the people there. But
Yeah.
people were loving that she was wearing a Pebble Time round.
Yeah,
they were fascinated by it.
Yeah, a lot of people ask me, why do you wear the Pebble?
Yeah.
And I say, well, at an event like this, you just want to wear something that has the longest battery life possible.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to have to charge something else every day.
My Apple Watch died on the first day, and I have not yet recharged it.
You recently performed like a social thought experiment on everybody, right? Didn't you like go with it dead for 2 months or something?
No, it was like 6 months. I just wore a dead Apple Watch for like months, and no one noticed.
That's great.
The only person who noticed repeatedly was
Oh, sorry.
Oh, we're talking about Fitbit.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so the Fitbit Surge was last year's big Fitbit announcement, and there were a couple other ones as well. This Fitbit, the Fitbit Blaze, is a fully featured fitness watch like the Surge. It'll track a bunch of different stuff, but it doesn't have GPS. It also happens to be the first Fitbit with an LCD color display. Fitbit has never done color displays before. So in like a weird way, it's inching a little bit more towards a real smartwatch in terms of its looks, the aesthetics of it, but it's not quite a real smartwatch because it doesn't have third-party app support, which some people might like actually, but it's also not quite a full-featured fitness watch because it doesn't have GPS.
Right.
So it's sort of this weird in-between thing. I mean, I wrote a whole thing on theverge.com about it, that it's a little bit harder to categorize, I think, than some of the other Fitbits.
What's crazy because people love Fitbit. Like, I think you've written it. Like, Obama just wears a Surge.
Dude loves that thing.
And he was just wearing it recently again in a video with the Seinfeld video, the comedians in cars. And it's like the president just like endlessly wears a Fitbit Surge. And I know all kinds of people who wear Charge HRs. And you're right. They're like the Kleenex. It's like you're going to buy a Fitbit thing or a fitness thing. You just kind of end up buying a Fitbit.
Right.
And then the Blaze is like, well, first of all, you saw it in person. In the photos, it looks horrifically ugly.
Yeah, it looks
It is
really
not
bad.
a very attractive
Like,
Fitbit.
it has a giant bezel, and it kind of looks like the first Basis. You know what I'm talking about?
that is
Which I will say, I'm not gonna lie.
It's like super angular.
Samsung's first wearable
the
like
Samsung
fitness
Gear
watch
Fit,
thing,
the one that was like a band.
Yeah, no, like the watch. I don't know.
No, the very first Galaxy Gear. You mean?
Yes, Galaxy Gear
thing,
and the Basis are two of the more common things I see on the New York City subway. And in New York, it is bizarre how much I've seen the Basis.
The first Galaxy Gear gave a ton of those away for free, though.
Well, that's why. But the Basis, like, who was like, man, gotta have that Basis? And
Wasn't that the Basis
Intel bought that
heart rate?
Yeah, Intel did buy them.
Intel bought that and
Yeah.
like forgot it away. They were like, no, there's.
I received a free Basis
Yeah.
at the Code Conference like 2 years ago.
Yes, I did as well. And people, actually, a friend of mine tried to like buy one recently, and she couldn't. And she said, "Do you still have that Basis from the Code Conference?" And I was like, "Yeah, you can
Well, now
have it.
she
Good
can buy
luck
a
with the
Fitbit
updated
Blaze.
software for that thing."
Well, no, because Becky was like, I want. She's like, I want one with heart rate. And I was like, try this Basis. And she like looked at me. She was like, I want a Surge, or like straight up. No, she wanted a
she
Charge.
wanted the Charge HR.
Yeah. And I was
Yeah.
like, really? She's like, I know what it's called. I want that one. I was like, damn it.
Yeah.
I can't voice this other garbage.
Yeah. I mean, the new one has optical heart rate sensors too. So it doesn't have GPS, but it does have the heart rate tracking. But it's actually a pop-out tracker, which if you don't see it in person, you can't really
Is
get
that
the
what's
full.
so huge?
Well, it's a frame, right? It's a frame around a square tracker. So you pop the square tracker out. There are actually gaps between the top of and the bottom of the frame and this thing. So you pop it out, and then you could maybe pop it into a nicer band, like a leather band and frame, or a different frame, a rose gold frame coming down the road.
Yeah.
If you want to dress it up a little bit. I'm a little, I don't know. We're going to have to wait until we really test this thing before we make our full assessment. I mean, I guess the one thing that Fitbit has going for it is that because there are these millions of people that have bought Fitbits, maybe some people are already tied to their software. And so if you're already sort of sucked into the Fitbit system, then
the big decision to not integrate with like
they
Apple
don't integrate
Health
Apple Health or
whatever,
Google Fit.
And then they got kicked out of the Apple Store.
That's right.
Which is like kind of like if you just think about that whole thing, and then they're still huge and popular, like make a ton of money. I don't know, but it's if you're asking like why are we talking about Fitbit so much? This was literally the top post on our site all day yesterday.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And I think it's crazy that a company like Fitbit just has this insane loyal, like everyone just who has Fitbit is like, I want the new best one, or I want to upgrade, or I want to wear a band. When I always think of Fitbit as like the commodity, like it's the little thing that you clip to your pants and like
lose.
Oh, that's so cute in 2010.
I know. Now it's like all about strapping things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I have to say the most interesting thing that I think I've seen.
To your wrist.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, let's talk
what I
about the
meant, to
Intel
your
one. What is
wrist.
this? What is this?
So
Oh, boy.
Intel at their keynote today. Intel's keynote today, it was the grand CES keynote, which traditionally either Microsoft did it, Qualcomm had an insane one. It's like a big blowout. We're going to show you the future. And Intel had the best press conference of all last year, so they got the keynote this year. Going to be awesome. And instead, their CEO Brian Krzanich was on stage for like 3 hours.
It was a long one.
It was not the kind
And
of guy
other
that
companies that typically go long went short this year, so it felt even longer.
Yeah.
And he could not hold the stage for that long. So anyway, this thing has Intel Curie in it, their tiny little computer chip thing that can like track all sorts of positioning data. And so it lights up, and we were supposed to wave our wrists around while
they were taught to dance.
We were taught a dance that we didn't do. The entire audience was like, "Yeah, we're not going to dance."
There was an instruction card.
Who was the guy that played? And so then the musicians also used them to like play invisible instruments.
I don't even know what you're saying right now.
Okay, so
my brain is not processing anymore.
Dieter's doing the thing where he live logged it, so he wasn't there. Like his brain went away. He was like a typing machine.
So Intel I don't know what happened. Intel makes a chip called the Curie.
Yes, I'm familiar with the
which can track all kinds of stuff. They announced it last year. This year they're like, we're putting the Curie in stuff now.
Cool.
And so you can put it in a snowboard, and it can like tell what trick you're doing because of the Curie. And so they've put it in this little wristband. This is what Taylor Swift did a while ago, and we could like clap and make a thing happen on a screen, or they could like make it light up and sync to the music while we waved our arms in a certain way, and
it was a very weird thing to see a keynote for CES, considering that this idea has been around in music, not just Taylor Swift, like this idea of like wear something or put something on your phone that will enhance the audience participation by turning it into like, you know, a fourth sense, you know, like there are apps and other wearables like this that people have like downloaded and gotten upon entering concerts for the last couple years now, where it's like it'll sync up with the music. Like Dan Deacon did this like a couple years ago in like smaller shows, and then it spread to like big arena shows. And so Intel was like putting a lot of attention on, just because it has Curie in it, it's like this thing, look at how cool this is.
So
like
Intel
we're going to end
has
our keynote on this.
They have a reputation for showing things off at CES that really are true prototypes and in a lot of cases don't come to market. So what did they say anything about wearables that we'll actually see this year?
The New Balance promised to make an Android Wear watch.
Oh.
That was the whole thing.
That was the news.
Oh.
The New Balance is 3D printing soles for shoes now too.
It would have been better if they were just 3D printing soles.
Yeah. No, so the one thing that I will give Intel credit for
need a new one.
Is
mine is dead.
Last year they showed that drone that
the battery died.
Last year they showed the drone that could like dodge trees.
You have. There's no light in your eyes.
I don't care.
I've 3D printed you a.
Sorry,
no, you're right. You're right though, because this was the one thing that. This was the one thing they actually built on.
You can't 3D print a non-existent thing.
Oh my God, Dieter doesn't have a soul.
You need one.
Well, let's go over.
Get a Curie.
Let's go over to the Sands.
Whip it up.
And find some 3D
Call the
printing
New Balance
companies.
people.
Well, let's please send Casey Newton around tomorrow to 3D printing companies and ask him if they can print souls.
Have you noticed when Casey's doing like the big video thing, he talks like a 1940s gangster?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Well, now I have.
I don't want to do an impression of Can you 3D print me a soul? Like he does it. It's like
The Withings activity. I still need to watch that video that you guys did. Thank you for reminding me.
This is going to be one of those things where people are going to watch this video and they're going to say this is just not funny, and we're so loopy right now that we.
No, I've
but
got
if you want to
2
know what
days of
CES
tweets
is
from
like,
people who are like, "When are you going to get drunk and make an ass of yourself on a podcast?" And we did it. We're here for you.
But Dieter, continue. I'm sorry. We so rudely interrupted you.
Intel gets credit for the drone they showed off last year with a real sense that could like dodge trees and while it follows you. They found a company to actually make it production for under $2,000, and they had it on stage. And like it works.
Yeah, so like whereas
really
last year
impressive.
it was like they set it up in this big net area and it was dodging like buildings that were made out of like paper, and now
this
it's
year
like
they set it up in a big net area and it was dodging trees that were made of paper.
right.
It wasn't the idea that
But it was
these were the
a more
cameras
impressive
also
dodging.
used
Yeah.
to feed the 3D printer. Right? Weren't the photos taken or something? The photos of the souls taken with?
Oh my God.
It was a ghost camera. Intel made a ghost camera. Began taking photos of souls.
They can stick a tablet in your face and like go like this for a couple seconds, and then your face gets pasted onto the body of the main character in
It's funny
Fallout
because
4.
until you said pasted, it sounded like you were going to make a joke about looking at souls. You can see your aura. It's a strong one within you.
Intel whiffed their keynote super hard.
I think everybody whiffed
They had
their
good stuff
fucking
that
keynotes.
was bad.
No,
that was presented
the
badly.
only 2 keynotes that were good, in my opinion, so far, were sections of 2 keynotes.
Okay.
It was Samsung and LG when they started talking about washing machines and refrigerators.
Yes.
Like, I have never... I mean, you want to talk about swagger. Like, the dude from, like, LG is, like... he literally was like, he's like, we are leading this industry trend, the game-changing industry trend towards black stainless steel. And it was like no one, like everyone, like no one else operated in the same headspace.
I have this
and
theory.
He was like, fucking mic drop.
I have this theory about these appliance guys at Samsung and LG. Imagine you're an appliance executive, right?
I imagine every day.
You live a super boring life.
They're all super fit.
No,
they have great suits.
Yeah,
that dude from Samsung has that really nice pinstripe suit.
LG guy
looks like that guy that's going to slip you a $20 bill at your graduation party and be like, "You're welcome."
Yeah,
imagine
that is exactly
imagine these guys
saying.
outside of CES and like the coolest they can be. They can't be cool at all. They go to Sears, right? They go to meetings with like Kenmore.
They're in there, man.
This is their Super
boring
Bowl.
and
Those
lame.
guys, can you imagine the fucking guys on the other side of the table at Sears? Like, the Samsung dude's coming. Like, everybody comb your hair. Shine your shoes.
If they have that kind of cool and swagger on stage at CES, imagine what happens when they go meet with Kenmore.
No, I think we have to start going to, like, appliance conventions and just seeing how throwback.
I'm sick that week.
I'm actually
You have to go to the appliance PepCom.
Oh, boy.
He's going to die.
I'm going to cry.
I'm saying you have to run around and do.
I'll make it fun.
No,
I'll
but
talk
the
to
Samsung smart fridge. This is so stupid.
The family
It was
hub.
the first thing that leaked out of CES, and like the first post on our site that like had an immediate traffic spike.
Yeah,
and it's like
a touchscreen on a fridge.
It's like a 21.5-inch touchscreen. It has like Android controls at the bottom. It has like a home button.
Yeah.
It's Tizen, but like.
And when you're traveling,
I feel like if I said even to our audience it has Tizen controls at the bottom, people are like,
what does that even mean?
They like pull over their cars and start Googling.
One of the supposed features is that when you're traveling away from your connected fridge and you're in some place with a dumb fridge, you can get on your phone and you can send a little message to your family back home on the fridge screen.
Yeah.
So when someone's like in the kitchen late at night, they get totally freaked out.
It's just your face. Also, but also in reality, most people have phones. Like, why would you be like, please go to the kitchen? Like you're like texting, texting your son. You're like, son, I need you to go to the kitchen.
It's like the basis of a Black Mirror episode where you're like sending this heartfelt message and like your family has like left. You think they're home, but like sending your husband.
How long until a dick pic
is not there?
I mean, like immediately,
right?
Like if you are the sort of person who's like buying like a $40,000 fridge, you're like, you know what? Gonna put my junk on it.
Is that how much it is? It's
I don't know.
$40,000?
I'm just assuming it's some enormous.
They're really expensive.
The LG one has a sensor in the bottom. When you walk up to it with your foot, it opens itself for you.
That's actually pretty cool. And LG did one a few years ago here. I don't know if it ever. I think it actually is on the market, where it would like chill your beer and wine in like 8 minutes.
Yeah, no, they've all got like that.
Special chill drawer.
I'm assuming
is that not new anymore? Am I that behind the times with refrigerators?
Netflix and chill drawer.
We're all behind the. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I mean, wait a minute. The Samsung fridge probably has a Netflix app.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So
saying.
you can watch Netflix.
And then
Does
and
Tizen
chill
have a
your
Netflix
wine.
app?
Yeah.
See, this is
Yes,
the
it does
problem.
on the smart TV.
Look, guys, this refrigerator fragmentation has gone too far. How are they going to get developers?
The smart fridge is awesome. It can mirror the TV show on your Samsung Smart TV in the kitchen.
Can you read tweets?
I don't know.
Yes.
I want to check
What
the
about
milk,
Snapchat?
and I want to tweet about it immediately if it's gone bad.
You can pull up the app on your phone and get the picture of the inside of your fridge from the last time the door was closed.
I'm sorry, that first world problem is not big enough for me.
I mean, it's kind of, it's just so, like, this is what I mean. The appliance guys, like, every other part of the Samsung thing was like, we have invested in the same UHD logo as the other partners. In the
Samsung
UHD
was
alliance.
super angry about how they are the only ones who understand how to make super UHD, SUHD TVs, and everybody else's SUHD is garbage. Like everybody, like
I'm gonna go ahead and
way,
contrast that level of confidence in actual products displayed with our friends at Sony, who began building up an announcement for their UHD television, only to back it off by saying, "And we are announcing the industry's first UHD logo."
What?
And they displayed a logo, and that was the announcement. And they're like, "This logo will teach consumers that they can trust in Sony's UHD." And it was like, you announced a picture? Literally, not even. It's a picture. Like you're just gonna glue it onto things.
Wow.
The Sony one was so.
Why did they take the year
confused.
off?
They just hung out.
What did they show? I'm so tired. Did they show? Did they show anything?
They showed
exciting?
a camcorder.
Yeah. So
lots of 4K camcorders.
I was gonna say, does it work with VHS?
Yeah.
No, I mean it was like.
Does it work with 8mm?
Sony's like my favorite company alive like here because they usually have like. I was saying, telling a story earlier to the staff, not to the people listening to this. I'm going to tell you the story now. Sorry, it's just not working. Words. But like 5 years ago, Sony had like Taylor Swift play, and like everything was in 3D, and then there was like and like this year, the Kaz rolled on stage, and he was like, "Let's just talk about CES," and then he would like they just brought out some partners, like they're like, "Here's the president of Screen Gems, a Sony picture company," and literally. Mike Vasillo, the president of Sony Electronics, was like, so let's get to the question that everybody's asking themselves. And everyone's like, yes. Like, what new prototype camera have you been using? And he's like, why are Sony cameras the best? And the guy was like, they are the best. And it was like, are you guys just like broing out a little bit? And then he left. That was it. And they brought out a guy.
He didn't actually answer the question.
You know, he was just like, they're best. You know, like we can hang them up, we can like move them around, we can shoot things with them.
He's like, we make cool sensors.
Yeah, and then they brought out a guy from YouTube to capture souls. Every Screen Gems movie, actually, if you watch it in a black light,
you lose your soul.
It's just souls.
Especially if you watch it in the self-driving car that just came to pick you up. The Screen Gems car that's bringing you to.
Oh my God!
God, it's the darkest timeline.
I know. I'm so scared about it. I could have nightmares.
Anyway, and then they brought out a guy from YouTube, and they're like, and he was like, YouTube is growing. Everyone loves YouTube, and Mike was like, you know what? YouTube is pretty great. And
who's
like,
the guy from YouTube?
Lucas something.
Okay.
But they just talked about YouTube for a while. Like they didn't talk about what Sony was doing with YouTube.
Oh.
They just literally discussed YouTube and how cool it was, and the guy left. And Sony was like, that's the kind of stuff we like to see.
What?
Yeah, I mean, like literally no products were announced. They announced a 4K camera, camcorder, the hottest product category at CES. I bet David Pierce $100 that he couldn't get the headline "Camcorders are back" into Wired tomorrow. So here's looking at you, bud. If you could pull that off, you got money waiting for you.
They never went away.
He doubled me up. He said if he could get camcorders are lit as fuck, I would have $200. So we'll see.
Amazing.
But anyway, so they announced that. They announced I don't know, headphones and speakers. They announced a record player.
Oh.
Yeah, record player.
Record player is like the hottest category at CES this year.
We're sitting right near a record player company.
Style record player.
Yeah, like Technics. The Panasonic brought the Technics brand back.
Yeah.
It's like the legendary SL1200. They put out like super expensive.
Retro is back.
Yeah, so Retro's back. And then Kodak is putting out like a film camera.
Yeah.
The Super 8.
So like Retro Gadgets like having a real moment here.
Yeah.
Kodak's not only putting out a 8mm film camera, Kodak's making something, right?
Well, yeah, I mean they're
like Polaroid over the last couple of years where they just are like, oh, you'll take our brand and give us some money, like put it on whatever that object looks cool.
I read something in the New York Times did a fantastic story on Kodak last year, and there's something like at one point Kodak had 145,000 employees, and now they're down to like 5,000.
Well, that was the thing. Like in the 40s and 50s, Kodak was Apple.
Yeah. And they no longer, I mean, they make a fraction of the amount of film that they once made. And the film that they do make now, they make to sell specifically to like certain Hollywood studios that they have deals with. And that's the only reason why they make the film.
And
but
that's 35mm, and 8mm is even harder to find.
Yeah, I saw some on B&H today, actually. I was poking around after I saw that the Super 8 was coming back out.
And getting it developed is even harder.
And getting it developed is expensive.
I shot some on a project
like
a couple years ago.
$25 and $50 a roll, right?
Yeah,
it's
closer to 50, and then getting it processed is another 50 to 100, and then getting it digitized is like another 50 to 100.
So Kodak has said, I believe, that they will do the digitizing if you send your film to them to be processed. So they'll give you some type of digital copy that you can project.
So this is a thing. Sony had like a similar. It's totally different. Sony's not going to do anything for you. They're just gonna show you their friends. But their record player is like a high-res audio record player, so it's a very nice record player. And then it plugs into your computer over USB, and there's an app that like converts your records into high-res digital files for their like library of high-res digital audio goods. And they're like, it's all of the convenience of digital plus the thing you love about vinyl. And it's just funny that Kodak's thing is like, use all this like ritualistic analog stuff, and then we'll give you the digital files.
And then we'll process it.
Yeah. And it's kind of a weird. I'm not sure that that's the answer. Like that's the old answer. right? Like I think people like record players because there's all this like ritualistic stuff, and they're not like, man, I wish I had these files on my phone. Like they have them anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Like if you're listening to an album on Spotify, like you don't. I don't know. It's very like that part of the retro gadgets thing is like I don't think the companies know why people like them. So like Cause Her Eye today was. Or
they do know and they're just blatantly tapping into nostalgia.
No, I asked Cause Her Eye today. I was like, why do you think there's a vinyl? Like there's a boom in vinyl sales. Like people are buying vinyl records again, and there's a bunch of turntables here at CES. And I was like, why do you think this is happening? He's like, I don't know, like nostalgia, like, and he like kind of went down to like millennials are crazy road. He's like, these millennials, they like the rituals and like and I was like, you don't actually like I think it's like Spotify kind of sucks as a music experience, and it's like you love bands, you want to pay them, you don't want a CD, so you buy this. It's like there's all this other stuff about it, and like I don't think like shooting film is like what you want to do is shoot film, send it away, and then receive
get a digital copy back.
Get like an SD card.
Yeah.
And I think that's
that's the only way you can edit it. I mean, no one.
Yeah.
We got to wrap.
You know how to edit film.
Yeah.
Because of the saw that's buzzing.
Oh, we didn't get to talk about the bra.
No.
Let's talk about the bra.
We can talk about it another time.
Another time.
Are you gonna be on tomorrow?
Stay tuned.
They're sawing. I think we're gonna die.
We're gonna die.
I haven't.
Wait, Dieter. I have one note here. Well, Lauren, say 2 sentences about the bra. And then I have a note here. All it says here, all I've written down is Dieter has a lot to say about Samsung.
Oh, wow.
So I want to hear about the bra, and then I want to hear just a taste of what that is. We can pick it up tomorrow.
All right.
I've been wearing a connected sports bra.
What?
And it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah?
I'm not wearing it now, but for working out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll have plenty more on that. We're going to do a booth video with the company behind it.
Wow.
There's a story on theverge.com about it right now.
Right now?
Yes.
It's 11 p.m.
Yep. I wrote that one like 1 in the morning the other night or something.
Wow.
So you know it's going to be good.
Yeah, but I was working out in the Smart Bra all weekend before I came here, and I was like, oh, whatever. It's just like a
what does it do?
Heart rate strap that's built into a bra, but it's cool. So it's called the Signal bra, the bra, and it measures your heart rate, your breathing rate, your heart rate variability, your overall activity. But the cool thing is that it pairs with an app for like live monitoring while you're working out. So you keep the app open and you actually see your heart pulsing and like this, I don't know, in either case. But then the best part about it is because it knows your activity levels, it tells you how hard you worked out after the fact. And I found out that I think I work out really hard and you really don't.
Yeah.
I worked out for an hour on Sunday Sunday morning, and I thought, I'm a rock star. And then I looked at the Signal app. I was wearing the sports bra, and it basically said you worked out for 15 minutes at the level you should have been, and 5 minutes were warm up, and 40 minutes were junk.
This is the new theme of wearables that make you feel bad about yourself.
Well, yeah. Is that something you hadn't been getting? You wear a lot of stuff, fitness stuff, and you've tested it in that way.
But if you go for
is that something you haven't gotten from those? Well,
yeah. I mean, if you hit 10,000 steps, or you go for a 3-mile run or something like that, you feel a sense of accomplishment. You're like, okay, I got my daily activity in, and I'm going to be a healthy person and stave off disease and all this stuff. But if you're not actually working out hard and getting your heart rate up to a certain level, and you don't have anything to tell you that, then that's a whole different thing. A lot of people don't really know what heart rate zones they should be in and what they should be doing. And so, I mean, this is next level. This is beyond just I need to get off the couch, right?
Right.
This is for people who maybe are okay, I'm ready to train.
Mm-hmm.
So I just found that really interesting, and I'm definitely gonna have to test it a lot more. This was based on 1 weekend of using it, but I was intrigued by it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, wearables make you feel bad. That was the whole theme of Unveiled yesterday for me.
Really?
Yeah, it was like every wearable is your hair is falling out. Let's shoot lasers at it.
It's true. Now there are smart scales. No, but there are scales now that you step on, and the scales are oh, yeah, you still have 17 pounds to go.
Yeah.
And then you're like, no, don't send that weight to the app. Don't do, and then it's sinking.
Yeah.
And you're it's there, it's already there, and then you open your phone, and your phone's you're fat. It's
as people, we're not allowed to say that to each other anymore, so we've pushed it off to the robots.
Absolutely.
The robots are you could stand to lose a few.
Shame wearables.
Shame wearables. No, Casey and I were looking at one called the Sculpt yesterday that you spray water on yourself and you hold this Bluetooth electric thing on you, and it tells you what your muscle adequacy is, or muscle quality. Not because one of the things is like adequate, and it's like muscle quality.
Yeah.
Like,
you have
can I just have
muscles.
some? Can it just say some?
Yeah.
I don't know. All of them.
You have inadequate muscles, and you're lacking a soul.
All right. Preview your many
Bohn
thoughts
story.
about Samsung.
Samsung's smart TV platform, the new stuff, looks really good.
Yes, and LG has a partnership with Time Warner Cable, so the TV is actually a cable box.
Samsung does. It's not a cable box.
Samsung does.
Samsung.
Sorry.
They were very vague about the Time Warner thing.
LG had
if it were the cable box, I would have been flipping out. But it can interact with the guide in some way.
Yeah.
But so the thing that they do, they didn't fully explain how it works. So I'm pretty sure this is how it works. When you plug a peripheral into the TV, it uses HDMI-CC to detect what it is. Because an Xbox says, "Hey, I'm an Xbox."
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, I want the Xbox cube on the interface to be here. And as you do that, Samsung's like, oh, you want to use this Xbox. That's cool. I know it's an Xbox. I'm going to download from the database in the cloud in the sky all the remote control commands for it and automatically put it on your remote.
Yeah.
And it just, boom. As soon as you plug that shit into your TV, your remote is programmed for it.
Yeah.
That's genius.
That's pretty cool.
And that's not even like, oh my God, you solved this insane ecosystem problem. That's just like, oh, you know what? We actually have these Lego pieces. If we just made them talk to each other. And I think that's cool. I think they deserve to be commended for it. I have no idea if, like every other smartphone or smart TV platform, that it will be complete garbage in 3 months after you buy it. But as a demo,
it's just
great.
interesting because if the core, man, I could talk about. We should do this tomorrow because
Yeah,
I could talk about TVs a lot. But if you're like, Samsung represents the realest competition for Apple in TVs, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you buy the big, beautiful 4K OLED Samsung TV and it has a reasonably good operating system that is like cool to use and like does all this stuff for you, integrates actual television, and then has Netflix and lets you buy movies.
Yep.
Then what Apple needs is like really killer fucking apps for the Apple TV to get you to use it, and that is the piece of the puzzle.
Wait, you're putting the Apple TV box in the same category as Samsung's smart TV interface?
In terms of needing to compete.
Why would you need to buy that thing?
Yeah.
Why would you need to buy the Apple TV? You're saying?
When the Time Warner executives started walking on stage, I was literally vibrating.
No, the Time Warner executive. No,
what's going to happen?
I knew it wouldn't. The Time Warner executive walks on the stage every year.
But they said something like, they said the word like integration, and I was like,
yeah. This is the dance that makes you dance. It's awful. But
and
this
it never
year
actually happens. Is what you're saying?
It's because they're bad at it.
That's why.
Anyway, we'll pick this up tomorrow. Tomorrow on the Vergecast at CES, it's the Vergecast Trader Cast.
Yes.
With David Pierce, Joanna Stern, and Sam Sheffer.
Oh
my God.
That's going to be ridiculous.
Oh my goodness.
Is any actual Virgin employee going to be on it?
You.
Okay.
Surprise, Dieter.
Pretty sure it's you.
So, Dieter, what are you doing tomorrow night?
Yeah. But anyway, so that'll be exciting. I think that's, and we have 2 more Thursday and Friday as well. So tons of stuff from CS. This one surprisingly normal.
You say that, but if you were to listen to it,
well, there was the electric sawing that occurred. Anyway, that's it. Please listen to The Verge, listen to the Vergecast, watch our videos, subscribe to us on YouTube.
Definitely subscribe to us on
YouTube.
We're just pumping videos on YouTube.
It's big props to our video team.
Yeah, everyone's here. It's a super fun week. I love CES. I think there's a lot of garbage that gets announced here, but there's also like just a lot of fun to be had with toys. And isn't that why we do what we do?
Yes.
All right, that's it.
Fun.
Thank you guys so much. We'll see you tomorrow.